All right, now I'd like to invite to the podium Jonathan Sprouffske. He's our Assistant Governor, and he's going to introduce our program.
Thank you, John, and a special thank you not only to John, but to the Hawks Prairie President Noel Ostrander and Gateway's President Eric Rowe for really making this joint club visit happen. One of the district governor's past responsibilities was to go visit in some fashion each and every club, and it's really a nice courtesy that the presidents have shown her and her schedule to do a joint meeting, and I think it helps all of us to really build fellowship. As I often tell new Rotarians when they're Rotarized, if you're a member of one Rotary Club, you're a member of all the Rotary Clubs, and this really allows us to really break bread and join each other. And so thank you to the presidents for making this happen, and thank you for all of you for coming and supporting your district. Joanne, our district governor, was born in Seattle and has lived in the greater Seattle area for most of her life, where she worked for years in advertising and public relations. She has one adult son, and in 1980, Joanne moved to Bainbridge Island, where she was elected to the local Parks Commission, where she served for over 8 years. Joanne lived in Nairobi, Kenya for 4 years in the late 1960s, and she returned to Uganda in 2001 with a literacy project for Rotary. Joanne was married to Don Menino, and they are both members of the Rotary Club of Bainbridge Island. Joanne has been a Rotarian for over 20 years, and during that time she has chaired the Youth Exchange, Membership, Fellowship, and World Community Service Committees. She was the club's service director for 3 years and has served as the Centennial President in 2004 and 2005. She has attended 6 Rotary International Conventions. Don and Joanne are both Paul Harris Society members and members of the Bequest and Paul Harris Societies, and they're major donors, sorry. Please welcome your district governor, Joanne.
It's a real pleasure to be here today and see so many people from it's probably 5 or 6 different clubs breaking bread together. So this is great. This is the future of Rotary as we move and work together. First off, I'd like to thank my husband, Don. I think this is about the 75th club that we have visited. Don and his GPS have successfully located every location. Maybe we have a little help from Jonathan today, but we got the right place. Just a little background on me before I get started. I joined the Rotary Club of Bainbridge Island a little over 20 years ago. Don was a relatively new member of the club, so for a number of years we were in the same club, but on very parallel paths. My interests were far more in international work, and he was far more interested in our fundraiser and spending the money that our club raised. Then in 2009, in the very same month, our spouses died. Now initially we were consoling one another, and then things got a lot better, and we celebrated our 4th wedding anniversary. When we visited the Rotary Club of Port Alberni on Vancouver Island.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I am very happy to be a Rotarian for more than one reason. And I would like to thank my mentor who got me into Rotary, but unfortunately he also has passed away. But the spirit lives on in the form of his daughter, who is a new member of the Gateway Club, Ann Sile Bustamante.
Yeah!
So, I'm an ordinary Rotarian. I joined Rotary for a number of personal reasons connected to my elected position as a Park District Commissioner. As I was working my way through the Rotary acronyms, I served on a couple of committees and was elected to the club's board of directors. Then I joined our club's Developing International Committee, where we printed booklets in a tribal language. Off to Africa I went to deliver those booklets. The local literacy committee had selected 5 schools to receive them. By the time I got to the 4th school, I had a pretty good idea of how the students and faculty appeared in Uganda. Things weren't good at this school. There was a coughing chorus in the background most of the time. Even the students seemed somewhat depressed. This was an area that did not have a source of clean water. The women and children could either fill their containers from roadside ditches or walk to a nearby lake. If they filled their containers near the shore, the water was sure to be contaminated. But if they waded out any distance, they ran the risk of being killed or maimed by crocodiles. I came back and petitioned my club for the $6,000 needed for a deep water borehole for that community. When I went back the following year to dedicate that borehole, I learned there were 80 other villages that also had the same problem. Well, initially I thought these people were going to have to get real. I wouldn't live long enough to do this 80 more times. But then I read in the Rotarian magazine about Rotary grants and how clubs only need to put up part of the money. And then it's matched with some district designated funds and some Rotary Foundation funds, and pretty soon there's enough. If the amount needed is too much for a club to do on their own, the way around that is to work with another club or group of clubs. We teach foundation grant training on both the U.S. and Canadian side of our district every fall, and every spring at our district training we also teach it. I refer to the grant information that's available to each of us as members of Rotary as leverage. I don't have the personal resources to help 191,000 people gain access to clean water. I don't have the personal resources to help wipe out a horrid, crippling disease such as polio. But as members of Rotary, we're all part of making really big things happen. This is a great year for each of us to be members of Rotary. It's the centennial, the 100th anniversary of our Rotary Foundation. Our foundation began in 1917 with $26.50. It began just like most Rotary projects. Not with a lot of money, or not with a lot of fanfare. One Rotarian sees a need or has an idea and acts on that idea. Now I challenge each of you, if you catch yourself thinking, why doesn't somebody take care of whatever it is over there? Turn that around and ask yourself, why not me? The list of Rotary projects that's been funded throughout the world and all that's been funded by the Rotary Foundation seems almost endless. 100 years of generosity by Rotarians and friends have grown this fund to one that now has an annual budget in excess of $250 million. This fund works to improve health, alleviate poverty, expand educational opportunities, and promote peace in every corner of the world. And this fund is ours to access, yours and mine. We expand this Rotary Foundation and gain Paul Harris points or other recognition by contributing either to the Rotary Foundation or to Polio Plus. We access this fund when we want to do grants using the global grant formula. But whether or not we ever choose to coordinate a global grant somewhere in the world, as members of Rotary and as contributors to the foundation, we're part of making these things happen. Polio Plus began not in corporate headquarters somewhere, but in a Rotary meeting just like yours. The polio vaccine had recently been developed, and in a Rotary meeting, one Rotarian said to another, our children have been vaccinated against this disease, but the children who live on the other side of the river are not so fortunate. We could start a little project and immunize all the children in our community, then we'd all be safe. They did, and it was successful. A few other communities heard about it. The Rotary Foundation heard about it, I'm guessing because they applied for a Rotary grant, and Polio Plus was born. Now this turned out to be a very big job, so we've been at it for over 30 years. I know you've heard many, many times that we're this close to eliminating polio. We really are very, very close. How many cases last week worldwide? 0. How many cases the week before worldwide? 0. Now there were a couple of cases in Nigeria earlier this year, and that one mountainous region between Afghanistan and Pakistan where they don't get along very well. There's still a little problem there. So far this year, I think the number is it 30, Don? 30 cases. So that's far fewer than even half of the number of cases last year. It's entirely possible that the very last case of polio worldwide will happen in this Rotary year. Does that mean the job is done? No. It takes 3 years for the world to be declared entirely safe from this disease. But what a gift to the children of the world. In this, our 100th anniversary year, please consider a contribution to the Rotary Foundation at whatever level is right for you. Now, I know a lot of clubs are doing something around the $26.50 initial deposit. Some people are moving the decimal point over 1 and $265 just this year. Some clubs are doing 100%, $100 for the 100th, just whatever works. Once I learned about the Rotary grants, and all this is online now and pretty easy to access, I applied for a Rotary grant for to supply clean water to 10 additional villages. And then another grant for 11, and another one for 11. And eventually the foundation reinstituted 3H grants, and I got one for $265,000. And then later I was able to get a very large global grant for over $1 million. Today, 191 villages now have a source of clean, tested water. Now, the people that live in those villages are extremely grateful for this opportunity. They'd like to return the favor, perhaps give you a gift or something of that nature. Now, these villages are small and rural. There are no stores, no shops, not even a marketplace, not even a trading place. The only thing they have to share is a chicken. But because they don't have electricity or refrigeration, that chicken needs to be alive. Well, I knew of this practice, but I had no idea how I would react if I were presented with a live chicken. Well, not only did it happen, but they gave me 2 chickens. So there I was, walking around with my 2 chickens, trying to act grateful and happy that I had them. I was able to find them a new home, so we did not have chicken soup for lunch that day. I simply share my story because ordinary Rotarians make a difference every day. When we share the stories of what we have accomplished in Rotary and what Rotarians throughout the world are accomplishing and all that's available through Rotary, I would think that everyone would want to be a member. The rules for joining are far more relaxed and flexible than they were when I joined. We no longer expect perfect attendance, but ask our members to make a difference in their communities. It's not that we don't value good attendance, we do, but we appreciate that the workplace has changed over the years, and it's just not always possible for people to be here every week. Many of you have a friend or neighbor or someone with whom you work who would make a great Rotarian. All you need to do is ask them to join you for a meeting. I was talking to another Rotarian who lives he lives in Thurston County, and he told me that he had been invited to Rotary 3 different times and always said no. And then another person invited him to a Rotary meeting and said, "Pat, I'll pick you up at 11:30 tomorrow." Pat said yes, joined Rotary, and he's an outstanding example of a fine Rotarian. So maybe all it takes is a free ride to Rotary. Why would we want more members? In order to do more good in the world. And every member has ideas. Our Rotary organization was beginning to lose members some time back, and I think a lot of this was related to the economy at the time. So they hired a public image firm that looked into why we join and why we stay. They learned that we joined Rotary for friendship. and to give back to our local communities. They learned that we stay in Rotary for the friends that we made, to give back to our local communities, and perhaps the wider world. The sad thing they learned was that 80% of people worldwide either have never heard of Rotary or have no idea what we do. So we're dealing with only 20% that have a pretty good idea of what we do. One thing they determined was that because we had a different logo for Rotary, Rotaract, Rotary Community Corps, RILA, Rotarian Action Group, Paul Harris Society, Interact, Youth Exchange, Youth Protection, Friendship Exchange, Rotary Foundation, and so many other logos for so many other aspects of Rotary, that it was us. We were confusing people. But our familiar mark of excellence, or our gear, is recognizable to us, but it is not recognizable to 80% of people in the world. So by putting the word Rotary with it, it makes it easy for anyone who sees it to know what it is. To that end, I put a Rotary pin at almost every place at the table. If you did not get a new Rotary pin, there's a supply of them at the table where you came in, and be sure to pick up one on the way back, on the way out. I bought a new Rotary vest at a district conference, and it had our mark of excellence with the word Rotary. And I wore it to the Trader Joe's store that's near my house, and the clerk immediately asked me about it. He was proud to tell me that his father is a Rotarian and very proud of all the work that his father's club had done. Now, I had another vest that I wore for 20 years and nobody ever commented on it, so I think it does make a difference. I particularly hope our clubs will use the word Rotary prominently in any advertising that they do that goes to the general public, because that helps. Each district governor throughout the Rotary world will hold a conference sometime during their Rotary year. We've decided to change it up a little bit next spring, so next May we will be having the Spirit of Rotary, our district training and our district conference all together. So one date, one place, one weekend. So no longer do you have to choose which event to go to. It'll be all together. It's held in Suquamish, Washington, which is probably less than a 2-hour drive, maybe an hour and a half from here. You don't need to take a ferry. It's a brand new facility right on the water. The hotel is very nice, and the conference center is state-of-the-art. So I think it'll be a very nice event, and we'd love to see a bunch of you there. Near the end of the Rotary year, the Rotary International President will hold a convention somewhere in the world. Dawn and I have been to the last 2 conventions. Last year it was in Seoul, Korea, and the year before it was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Those cities are huge. It takes over an hour on a bus from your hotel room just to get to the convention facility, each way, every day. The beauty of Atlanta, Georgia is that there are 10,000 hotel rooms within a 10-minute walk of the convention center. So if you've always thought you might want to attend one or might want to come back and attend another one, I would encourage you to take a hard look at Atlanta. I think we're going to have quite a group from our district there because it's such a nice place. Rotary is our club. The opportunities for doing good in the world and your community are endless. Don't continue to sit on the sidelines if you really want to dance. If you want to dance, come to a district training or a district training assembly, learn the rules, and go for it. We all have something to give, and each of us can make a difference. And the Rotary organization makes it easy. Not only is it easy, but Rotarians have fun doing projects together. What is Rotary? It is service. It is friendship like we enjoy every week at our meetings. And it's leverage to enable us to do good in our communities and throughout the world. And we have fun doing it. Rotary serving humanity. This is a theme that Rotary International President John Germ has selected for this Rotary year. It's an easy one for your 3 clubs. Just keep doing what you've been doing so well for so long, and be sure to have fun. Thank you. So I'm afraid I knocked your pen off on the floor. Thank you.
I just dropped a note before you were
So, Joanne, we'd like to ask you to autograph a book. And we will donate in your name to the South Sound Reading Foundation. We do this with speakers every week.
Really good. One of my favorite authors.
Dr. Seuss. And the title of the book is Oh, the Places You'll Go, which I think fits with your talk. So thank you.